Okay, today I've got a selection of brutally strong, highly projecting, room-filling fragrances that definitely aren't for the faint of heart. A lot of people who tune into these videos and are trying to build up their collection generally do want something similar to these as far as that strong projection, typically good longevity to go along with it. But there are people who also might want something that's a little bit more tame, just something that isn't going to be potentially offensive, or just for situations where, you know, that might be a bit too much, depending on what you do for work and things. You know, you might not always want something like these. So that is a warning. If any of these sound good to you, but you can't really wear something that's that obnoxious, keep that in mind. But obviously, if you clicked on this video, chances are it's because you can wear something crazy strong like this, and that's what you want. So here you go. This first one, Sauvage Parfum. You know, is it the forgotten flanker? I don't know. I mean, really right now, Sauvage Elixir is definitely at the top as far as popularity, I would say, just because, well, it's the newest, but it also just kind of exploded in the community. So I guess maybe when we're talking about community specific here, Sauvage Elixir is at the top. I think out there in the real world, quote unquote, Sauvage Eau de Toilette is still kicking pretty good, if I had to imagine. I don't see that one falling off really anytime soon, at least not on a drastic level. The Eau de Parfum, you know, I don't know. I just feel like the Eau de Parfum and the Parfum in the middle there just aren't really talked about all that much, but especially this Parfum. Why? Well, because it's more expensive than the Eau de Parfum and the Eau de Toilette, not quite as expensive as the Elixir, and it also isn't as different as the Elixir is. And so I feel like people are maybe a little bit more apprehensive on buying this one, possibly. It's got sandalwood, olibanum, bergamot. So you're seeing some familiar faces there, right, with the bergamot, but sandalwood, olibanum, a different type of combination there that adds a bit of a smoother, creamier, slightly sweeter, even slightly smoky nature to this Sauvage DNA. Because yes, you still do get some of that original Sauvage smell in here, but this is by far way more refined, way more masculine, way more mature. It's just not as in-your-face, strong, and loud as the Eau de Toilette. And I just think this stuff is great. I really like the Parfum, and it's one that, if you just haven't been the biggest fan of the Eau de Toilette or the Eau de Parfum, the Parfum might be one that you really like, along with the Elixir. And the Elixir could be in this video as well because it is very strong, but yet so is this one, and you don't hear about this one as much. So Sauvage Parfum, I really like it. Tom Ford Ombre Leather, just the original. You could easily go for the Parfum as well. Kind of hit or miss for me as far as which one I prefer, because they're really pretty similar. The main difference is going to be a bit of a variation in price. Of course, the Parfum is a bit more expensive than this Eau de Parfum. As far as performance goes, again, it's kind of a wash sometimes. And a massive amount of difference in performance between the Parfum and the EDP. Like sometimes is the case with flankers like this. Typically, when you go up to a Parfum, it gets stronger. I don't really see that here as much. But remember, we are talking about projection, and sometimes, a lot of the times, a slightly lower concentration aids in projection distance. You guys know me, I love my Parfum concentrations. It's my favorite concentration by far, but you do notice a difference in terms of how they push out. And so typically something like an Eau de Parfum with a little bit more alcohol content in there gives it that bright pop to kind of propel that scent outwards a bit more and give you better projection. So maybe that's why the EDP kind of does a bit better in that instance here with this one. But you guys know Ombre Leather, very, very wearable leather scent. Not at all like Tuscan leather where it's a bit more earthy and very, very strong and could be a bit of a more daring scent to pull off. I don't see that really at all with Ombre Leather. I think just about anybody could wear this and get great results from it and not really, you know, upset anybody with it. Because Tuscan leather, huge projector, very strong, and that one, you know, not everybody's going to like how that smells. But everybody pretty much will like how Eau de Parfum smells, and I mean, that's why it's so popular. I talked about this the other day, but sort by best selling on all of the major websites that sell fragrances, and this will be probably on the first page of all of them, if not the second page, but I doubt that. I think it would be on the first page up towards the top. Keep in mind, it has a lot of rivals because that ranking system, you know, I think most websites it's of all time. And so when you have like CK1 and the original Aqua de Jo that's been on there as a bestseller forever, this has to catch up, right? And it has. It's just, this stuff has sold like crazy. It's got the apple, it's got the sage, it's got the amber wood. I mean, I don't really need to describe it in big detail, so I'm not going to. But just understand that this is a great performer, not only in projection, which is the main goal, but the longevity is fantastic as well. Again, eau de parfum concentration versus something like the Lay Parfum, which I think is kind of an EDP intense possibly, or EDP intense, that one as well. I just think when you're really focusing in on that projection standpoint, just the regular eau de parfum is the way to go, primarily because it does have that sweetness as well, which the eau de parfum intense doesn't have. From a smell standpoint, the EDP intense is my favorite, and I'm really liking the new Lay Parfum 2025. But all around, when you're just looking for loud, strong, borderline obnoxious, the EDP is hard to beat. Let's go for Parfums de Marly Layton up next. Really nice apple, vanilla, cinnamon scent. And also another one that just really doesn't need to be, you know, described and have a ton of time spent on it, so I won't. But understand that there are more affordable options. You know, there are quite a few clones that are great, so you could go for some of them. Just figured, hey, I'd throw this one in because it is one of the few PDMs that you can pretty easily still get actually at a discounted price. I was also just talking about this recently, but they really only come at a really good price on when they're running sales. But Layton is pretty popular, and sometimes you can go to places like Vinba, Fragrance, and they have it still at a price that is actually discounted. But typically your Joma Shop and Fragrance Net, they don't really hold these at a good price all the time. Given the popularity, again, generally you can find this one somewhere for a really reasonable price, and I recommend it. Again, if not this, any of the clones pretty much will do, because for the most part they all have good performance as well. Again, it's all subjective as far as they perform as good as this. For me, this one performs great. And I've seen hit or miss opinions as far as the performance from some Parfums de Marly scents, you know, some of their popular releases, and they've been watered down or changed or whatever over the years. Don't know for sure, right? I don't have the, you know, batch from each year, you know, old and brand new to really be able to provide any info on that. Maybe I'll get a brand new bottle. This one is 0, oh boy, I can't even read it. 003901 if you want to run that batch code and see. It's a few years old at least. Let's go for something affordable again, because we don't want to get too out of hand with this crazy expensive stuff, the Tom Fords, the PDMs, even Sauvage Parfum. They're all up well over $100, but not this. Lattafa Khamrah. It's, you know, $30 to $40 or so. And very popular. Why? Well, I think you guys know. It was kind of known as an Angel Share clone. Now, I think while it's heavily inspired by Kilian Angel Share, there are a few notable differences as well. Primarily being the dates sweetness that they use in here doesn't quite match up as much. It has a little bit of a different presentation, not physical bottle presentation, but how the scent actually comes across. It's a bit different than Angel Share. This is one that actually, to me, isn't like a you know, exact clone, so to speak. Exact. It's never going to be 100% perfect, but you know, when you take a look at something like, for example, Lattafa Assad compared to Sauvage Elixir, very, like, about as close as you can get, just about identical. This one compared to Angel Share, a bit of a difference. Got dates, cinnamon, praline, vanilla, tonka bean, is all the main notes that they list off. And while they're not really giving you like a boozy liquor note there in the note breakdown, or maybe they do, but I didn't write it for some reason. I don't know why I wouldn't have, but you do pick up on it though. So it is still there, and that is one of the things that tie it to Angel Share. Again though, some differences. There are clones that are closer to Angel Share if you're really after that, but what I like about this one is, one, the quality is impressive for the price, and two, the performance is absolutely unhinged. Let's go for Rabanne Invictus Victory Elixir. So they have what? It's the new Victory Elixir Absolute. Is that what it is? I've seen pictures of the bottle. I think it's got the angular style bottle, similar gradient and color to this, but just the bottle's more like Invictus Parfum. Something like that. I know a new one's coming. This one has vanilla, tonka bean, and incense, and it smells amazing. I really like it, and it's one that has just continued to grow on me. You know, typically it kind of goes a couple of different ways. Either I get something in, I smell it for the first time, and I really like it a lot, and then 2 or 3 years later, I still like it a lot, you know. Or sometimes I get something in, I really like it a lot. A little bit of time goes by, and then I start to just think, hey, it's not all that good, actually. I was a little bit excited when I first tried it, but upon further inspection after wearing it more, it's not all that. Or sometimes what can happen is I get something in, and it's okay, it's nice, but I don't fall in love with it. But then I wear it more, and over time, I really start to like it. That's more the progression that this one had for me. Because to be fair, I never disliked it when I first tried it, but I've only continued to like it more, basically. And so to me, that's great. And I think that's pretty fun, you know, just how you can watch your taste change right in front of your eyes, right? As you're going through and smelling some things that you haven't smelled in a while, and it just gets even better. Really nice one, very sweet, but it's a great compliment puller as you would expect. More cooler weather leaning with this one, but great performance. Next up we have Jean Paul Gaultier Les Beau Les Parfums. You know, JPG, I mean, they are really on top of the game. As far as hyped fragrances, it seems like pretty much all of them are just, they release and then boom, they get popular and they get hard to find. Now, luckily, Les Beau Les Parfums isn't really hard to find anymore. It was for the longest time, back even before Paradise Garden came out. Not that that was a long time ago, but before Paradise Garden came out and Les Beau Les Parfums was the latest within this lineup, good luck finding it at that point. You couldn't get it on discounters. You really couldn't get it on retail. When it would show up on discounters, it would sell out immediately. No longer is that the case. Same with the original Les Beau. They're both pretty well stabilized now, and Paradise Garden is too. And I love Paradise Garden, and I've got to say, and I've mentioned it before, and I'm going to start featuring it as soon as it becomes available, but Flower Edition, to me, might even be better than Paradise Garden, and it might be my favorite within the lineup so far. It is phenomenally good. I waited a while to buy that one because I was just thinking, you know, is it going to be kind of a throwaway release, kind of like some in the Le Mans lineup have been, the summer editions? Definitely not. It is phenomenal. It's the freshest yet, and it's really good. Amazing. So I'm not going to go too far because you can't get it right now. It's restocking for summer. That is according to their website. But Les Beau Les Parfums, back on track here. This one's got the coconut. It's got the pineapple. It's summer themed, but it is quite a bit sweet. So kind of, you know, going to be person-to-person discretion advised type of thing here as far as are you going to want to wear it in the heat or not. Me, it's a bit too much for me sometimes. I would prefer to wear something else. However, summer evenings, fall, you know, cooler, cloudier summer days in general, rainy summer days, I'm all over Les Beau Les Parfums. But the nice thing about this one is while it is a little bit expensive still, you know, it's still around $100 or a little bit more for a 125. It has great projection. Let's jump into Ferragamo Oud. You know, how many people are talking about this? Not a ton. Ferragamo, they're known for the Uomos, and honestly, one that I really like too is the Acqua Essenziale Colonia, Acqua Essenziale Blue. Those are amazing for the price as well. They're all pretty affordable. This one is a bit more. It's usually around $60 or so. It's still great quality for that price. It's got leather, oud, tobacco, rum, and benzoin, kind of a vanilla twist there, boozy, smoky, woody, strong. It kind of goes against the grain of what Ferragamo usually puts out. That's why I like it so much. It's kind of uncharacteristic, but that's kind of exciting. And yeah, maybe a little bit out of season right now, but still a worthwhile, strong projecting scent. And it is more than the others from the brand, but at $60, that isn't outrageous by any means. It's a really good scent for that price. If you want something that is outrageously priced, we'll finish this video off with Guerlain Patchouli Paris. Gotta give credit where credit's due. That bottle presentation, it's beautiful. It's, you know, kind of classy, pretty simple. You know, you just got a sticker up front. Well, actually, yeah, it's a sticker, but it's embossed. You've got some string around the cap, okay? You can see, I guess that's the Guerlain logo on the top. Logo on the back engraved or etched into the glass, whichever word is correct. And the coloration is beautiful too. It's got patchouli, iris, and aldehydes. We're gonna go ahead and spray it, even though it feels wasteful, but that's really, really nice. And you could probably imagine what this one is all about. It is about the patchouli, but that note breakdown and the way that this one smells, it is not your usual patchouli scent. And that is what is so fascinating about this hobby. Because when I think of another strong patchouli-based scent, one that I talked about recently, Xerjoff Richwood, that could not be more different than this. And they're both patchouli-based. But Richwood has a very, very earthy, mature, strong, oldish smelling patchouli. Like, it just smells like old money, just very premium. Definitely not for everybody. This one's very light, uplifting, and bright. You know, it's crazy how different things can be and how they can be perceived, even though the notes are essentially, you know, pretty similar. Stuff smells great. Again, it's expensive and it's not going to be in everybody's price range, but one that I wanted to toss in if you had some extra money laying around. It's really nice patchouli scent. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for me. Some strong projecting, brutal fragrances that just fill up a room immediately. I will link all these down below. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.